was distinguished lecture series. And I must apologize for the late start, but we're coming from downtown and there's a terrible accident on the 595. For us to divert, it was chaotic. So thank God we're here and appreciate that you all came to share this evening with us. And we welcome Mr. Lindell Douglas, who I'm sure quite a few are familiar with. Um, he's a part of it. Lindell has been with us here in South Florida for a good while now, but he has left us and gone to Jamaica doing greater things. And so this evening he's here to share some of the great wealth with us about financial planning. And we thank the Island Space Museum for being a part of this series that the Consul General has launched. We've done quite a few of them here with Island Space, and we continue to do this. And thank you all for coming and joining with us, and you will be able to ask questions as soon as Mr. Douglas has given us a real introduction into financial planning here and in Jamaica. Okay. Thanks for coming, sir. I didn't tell you who I was, by the way. I'm Cheryl Winter from the Jamaican Consulate, and the Consulate is responsible for the series that we're doing.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. Appreciate it. Thanks for the invitation. What's up, my son? You have to go sit to mommy, okay? All right. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Come on, I can't hear you. Good evening, good evening, good evening. How are we doing this evening? Great, great, great. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here, to join us here this evening. Hopefully, we can impart something to you that will be worth the cost of admission, right? Because your time is very important, right? Matter of fact, time is the most important thing we have upon the earth. So, I want to thank Island Space for having us here, the Consul General and the Consulate, Jamaica Consulate in Miami, for giving me this opportunity to come and speak to you guys about financial planning. Right? I have a new book coming out, and it's the psychology behind financial planning, and I'm going to talk more about that than actually going into the meat and potatoes, right? So we're going to talk about the reason behind it, right? So first of all, what is financial planning, right? So that's a word that's been passed around. So financial planning really is a comprehensive analysis of your current situation to determine your future goal. Right? So that's a simple put. That's what financial planning is. Now, why do we plan? Right? Why do we plan? Why is it important? Right? There actually is a law, right? Kidlin's law says if you write something down, if you write down the problem clearly, it is half solved. So that's important, right? So if we have a goal or a dream or even a problem and we write it down, based upon this law, it's saying it's half solved. Why is that? Think about that for a minute. Why is that? Why is it so important to write it down? So let's talk a little bit about that. Financial planning really is just like when a lady is pregnant, there has to be a passage for that baby to be born, right? So financial plan, I want you to see it as the birth passage. You have an idea, you have a goal, you have to bring it into reality. And how do you do that? You bring it into reality by writing it down. By writing it down, you've now made it real. You've made it more real. So that's why they say it's half solved. And what you're doing is there's some forces that are working, and I'm going to talk about that more as I go into this lecture series, right? So once you write it down, we actually call it, I've been a financial planner. I started with American Express Financial, now it's Ameriprise, in 1998. And these are some of the concepts they teach us. So once you write down your plan, you're on your way there because you create now a passage for it to come to life. You don't have to know exactly how it's going to come to life, right? Once you start writing it down, just like when a lady's pregnant, her body goes through changes. The way she is in the beginning is not the same at the end. So your financial plan, once you write it down, it's going to look different at the end. But at least you got something going, and it's a living, breathing document, so you're going to make changes to it as you get more insight into what you're doing. Make sense? Now, you guys can stop. We're going to have quite a Q&A at the end, but you guys can stop me anytime if there's something that jumps out at you, you can't hold it, you know? So it's hot, and you need to talk about it. And I will stop, and we can look into it. Now, everything that we see around here, everything, let's take a look around the room, right? Everything you see begins with an idea. Every single thing. So therefore, this chair, someone had an idea. They create a blueprint. That's the plan. Then it came into reality. The same thing with the table. Same thing with the floor. Same thing with building a house. Right? And that's why it's important to plan. Because in life, there's really two things that work. Energy matter. Energy matter. Right? We drove here today, right? We had to put something in our car or whatever transportation mode we took to get here in order to get, so we put energy into something to get here. If you're going to run, right, you use energy. So your idea is the energy. You're going to create something into the material world. That's the matter. So you basically start with your plan, because with everything that you're doing, there has to be cause and effect. There has to be cause and effect. A lot of person, you would say, let me see, I want to make sure I'm not walking too much because the camera is there. What's my latitude here? Okay, good. All right. So, there's cause and effect, right? So, you can't get anything to happen in life unless there's cause and there is the effect. The effect is the outcome. So I may say something to someone that says, well, this person caused this to happen to me. That's not true. That's an effect. That's not a cause. Cause is what's in your mind. Cause is what you put into your mind. That's what you're going to use to create the effect. So, and that's what a plan is. The plan is you have an idea, you've created an effect, or we can even call the plan a bridge, because it's going to take you to where you're going, right? But I like my definition of it. It's really a birth passage. So just like when the lady again is pregnant, she goes to the doctor, they will tell her when is her due date. So if you want your plan to come alive, you also need to have a date specific as to when this should materialize. Because now you're making it more real. It's not just something loosely that you say, well, I want to get X, Y, and Z happen. And you don't have a date specific. So it's just something that's floating. So you create a date specific as to when this plan should come true. Now the plan is going to go through a lot of phases and stages. And it must have what we call challenges. And this is where a lot of persons lose their idea and it does not come to fruition. Because once challenges start, they quit. And they say, well, I can't do this. This is too much. But I want you to leave here today understanding that challenges are really opportunity. And feedback, they're not threats. So I'm going to do a quick demonstration here, and I want somebody to volunteer to do something with me. Who volunteer before I pick on somebody? All right, Pete, come on. All right, Pete, so this is what I want you to do. Paul, let me. I want you to take Pete to the back, right? Turn his back towards us. He's going to stand right where the lady in red, right? And Pete, I want you to close your eyes. Don't cheat. Right? I want you to walk up here, and the only guideline you're going to have is when I say off course, on course. When I say on course, it means that you're coming towards me. When I say off course, you're not. Right? And that's the feedback you're going to do. So bring it back here.
Can I recap to make sure I understand what you're doing?
Sure, sure.
So I'm going to stand where that lady is with
Yes.
back turn.
Back turn.
Walk backwards.
No. You're going to close your eyes. Your back is going to turn to us. And then I'm just going to say, go. And then I want you to try to figure your way up here. All right? All right. So as I said, challenges, your plan must come under challenges. It's going to happen. All right? So expect it. Spin them around a little bit. All right, Pete, come towards me. Of course. On course. On course. All right, stop it, stop. All right, so this is happening to most of us, right? When Pete stop here, and that's a challenge, what we say is, why me? Why does have to happen to me? This always happens. Why am I always so bad lucky? Why people opening? Why? So we're always making, when challenges come, we're making excuses rather than seeing it as feedback. Because all challenges are telling us is that something is not right. When situation and threats come, all it is saying is that, hey, you're off course, right? So, Pete, continue. All right, stop. All right. And for some of us, right? So, you're stuck somewhere and we start crying. But it's a feedback again. Say, I can never, this is not going to work. I'm going to quit. This is not happening, right? But all life is telling us is we're off course and we need to make a change. Now, do me a favor, Paul, because of the camera, let's have people walk on that side over there. Just bring him. Don't want them to turn over the camera. All right. All right, so you notice what's going on, right? All of a sudden, he's going backwards. He's going backwards. And I'm so, well, man, I was progressing, and now look, I'm going backwards, right? And then we start bitter. But a financial plan, in order for it to become alive, must go through. Anything we're doing in life must go through challenges, right? All right. Pete, go ahead. Yes? On course. Pete. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Now, give Pete a round of applause here. Now, you notice, right, that even though he got bumped in the road a little time, he had to turn back, he still made it home. Because he was listening to the feedback, right? He was listening to the feedback, and because he was listening to the feedback, and that's what your plan does. When you go through challenges, you change it because you realize this doesn't work. I tried that didn't work. I tried this didn't work, right? And that's what you're changing the plan. Is just like, whereas again, when the lady's pregnant, her body goes through changes. But not because her body goes through changes and she can barely stand up, she doesn't abort the baby, right? Well, most of them, right? Right? So the thing is because that baby is so important to her, she goes through the changes, the challenges that I've never been pregnant, so somebody who's been pregnant can tell me, right? But I've seen, I have a little son, so I've seen some of the challenges that my wife went through and the changes, right? So, and that's the same thing that happens to you when you have created a plan, right? Challenges must come. But if you stick with it, the financial plan will help you to your destination. Because challenges comes really because as you grow, there's no growth, by the way, without struggle. Right? There's no growth. Right? I was in church Sunday, and somebody said something, and it really was talking about a turtle he had, and the turtle was so afraid that as soon as something frightening to go back into its shell, and because the turtle spent so much time in its shell, it didn't grow. Right? And that's the thing. In life, we are going to have challenges. When we create something, there's going to be challenge. But if we want to grow, we have to step out, we have to embrace it, and we have to understand that it's giving us feedback, and we make the changes as we go forward. Right? There's a passage, and most of us probably have been to Sunday school, and if not, I'm going to teach you something. Right? So, they talk about Adam and Eve, right? And Adam and Eve pick a fruit, right? But in that fruit, it says there was good and evil. Notice it was in the same fruit. Good and evil wasn't in two separate fruit. Anything you want in life, there's going to be negative and positive. But they're the opposite side of the same coin. As a matter of fact, I call them twin sister. Right? So if you're doing wonderful, everything is going great for you, look, something bad is coming. So if you're prepared for it, when it comes, it doesn't affect you. Because you're looking for it, so you know it's coming. And if everything is going bad in your life, trust me, my grandmother always used to say, there's a silver cloud, there are silver lines in every dark cloud. That's what they were teaching us, is that night and day is within the same day. So you have to go through that in life. The financial plan is going to tell you that you are going to have threats. You are going to have opportunities, right? So these things are coming. So when they come, you're prepared to deal with them. Because it's a natural phase in life. And you're not going to accomplish anything if you're like that turtle who stay in the shell. You say, well, I can't do it. I tried it before and I failed. Failure is just something telling you that didn't work. Failure and success, pretty much, as I said, good and bad, right? Good and bad is in the same fruit. It's in the same fruit. So therefore, anytime you see anything bad happening to you, rest assured, if you have the right mindset and understand, listen, I'm not going to let this bind me. I'm going to step forward. And because I'm stepping forward, because I expect the good. Because it's there. It's just that at that time you can't see it. Make sense? Am I losing you guys? Make sense? Come on, guys. Make sense? Any questions on that?
Yes, I do.
All right, go ahead, Pete.
If we talk about grandmother,
Yeah.
get there. How do some of us get over the mindset of things like save for a rainy day, but we don't know what rainy day means, kind of thing. I know you probably get there, but when you talk about obstacles, etc., sometimes we don't even know what the obstacles are probably telling us which way to go left or right. I'm not sure if you probably
Right. All right. So grandmother says save for a rainy day. We don't know exactly what that means, right? But I'm going to give you an illustration. I'm going to show you something. Because we don't know, we really don't know, right? If I have a house with valuable in it, right? And I have a burglar bar, an alarm system, right? and I have some dogs, and a thief is looking for an opportunity of a house to rob. And he sees my house, and my house have the burglar bar, the alarm system, the dog, and next door there's a house, the door is open, there's no alarm system, there's no burglar bar, there's no dog. Which house the thief is going to rob? Huh? Exactly. So therefore, when you put up for a rainy day, right, what you're doing is preventing things from happening to you because you're prepared for it. And what happens is just like when you're prepared for something, it's just like it doesn't happen to you. Because guess what? You can deal with it. Life is a way of throwing stuff to us when we're not prepared. And that's why we do it. We don't know what it is, but what we know is that whatever's coming, I'm ready. Right? Whatever's coming, I'm ready. And that's what that is. Because as I said, you are going to find whatever you do, you're going to find day and night. Right? And we have this thing where we feel night is bad and day is good, but there's trouble in both. Right? So the night season, you can prosper in the night season, even though there's nocturnal thing that comes out. But there's also, most bank robbers don't rob banks in the middle of the night. Right? So bad things happen in the day too. What we have to learn is to reprogram the mind how we think, to believe that, so for me, good and bad is relative. Right? Good and bad is relative. Because somebody can do something to you that looks like it's good, but it's bad for you. I'm going to give you an example, right? So I've learned a while ago with a story where this little boy, he saw a caterpillar turn it into a butterfly. Right? And I'll tell you zone again. A caterpillar turned into a butterfly. And he watched that caterpillar struggling and struggling and struggling and struggling. And he had so much compassion. He went into the house, got a scissors, right? And cut the butterfly out of the cocoon. And the butterfly flapped his wing a couple of times and died. Because what was happening is that struggle that the caterpillar was going through was building strength in his wings so he can fly, right? And that's why sometimes, if you look at some people who have gone through a lot of struggle in their life and what they come out to on the other hand, while sometimes our children, they're so cuddly, we give them everything they want, and they have a failure to launch. Because guess what? We took away all of the struggles from them. So they don't have any coping mechanism. So as soon as something comes, they're looking for daddy to come or mommy to come and save them. While we have to let them struggle sometime, and let them go through some things and figure it out. And somebody said, but wait, you have all of this, why you don't just give everybody everything that, no, you can't do it. You can't do it because you're taking away something. What you think is good is actually bad. Make sense? All right. So, as I said, night and day, right? Good and bad, it's all a part of what you're planning for. So when we're preparing a financial plan, you're thinking about everything. You say, okay, as far as I know now, what are some of the consequences? What are some of the bad things that can happen? What are some of the good things that can happen? How can I prepare myself if these bad things happen? How can I prepare myself if this happens? So you're anticipate as much as you can what could go wrong, right? Now, sometimes it's not, you can't, most of us are not prophets, so we can't clearly see the future, right? So sometimes something comes that we never planned for. But guess what? Because we have planned, we're in a better position than the person who didn't plan. Because I tell you something, if I have a field here, right? And I say, I'm going to plant some corn. And I go and I weed it out. I plant my corn. Right? The weeds are going to come. But if I leave that field and I plant nothing, that field is full of weeds. Right? So the weeds are coming regardless. The only thing is because I have some corn, I have less weed. And I have to weed it out. But if I have nothing planted, it's full of weeds. And that's the difference between a planner and a person who has not. So why everything is going so terribly? Terrible, because you haven't planned. But the weeds are coming. But the weeds are a natural part of life. They are going to come, right? So the phase of growth in your plan is you clear the field, you plant. The weeds are coming. Once your tree is coming up, parasites are coming. You have to do something about that. When your blossom coming in, insects are coming to eat the blossom. When your harvest comes in, the raccoon, the iguanas, the squirrel, all kind of stuff is coming to eat your harvest. So then you have to protect it, right? And when you try to sell it, right, you have to be careful because there's some people who want to con you out of your harvest, right? Oh, this one is no good, this one, because they want to buy it with that finger. So there's phases that you see when you do, and the same thing when you're planning. You're going to go through all of this, just that we see them differently. So the weeds are coming. It's just that we said, wait, why is this happening? That's just a weed. You know, you put something together and it looks like it's not working. That's just the weed, right? It's growing and then all of a sudden, well, you know, the real estate market is down and, you know, somebody, you know, you have some rental property and, you know, always something going back. That's just the parasites. And you have to refrain your mindset from giving up and from saying, why me? And look in the negative. You have to embrace it. You have to embrace every single thing that's happening because just like how there's day, just like how there's night, just like how in the fruit there's good and evil, that's what you're going to see in your life. Right? And then know, once you have gotten your harvest, if you want your harvest to multiply the next season, right, you have to clear a new piece of land and you have to increase your capacity. Or you buy a new piece of land because now you want more, right? So then your capacity must increase. It's not the same thing with your knowledge base. So we're talking about farm, we're talking about investment, we're talking same thing. Is that you have to increase your capacity. If it's for you, if your thing is it's work at work, then maybe what you need to do is to learn something more. Yes, you have a master's degree, but get some specific knowledge on something. Learn something more because what you always want to do is that you want to be 10 times better than everybody you work for, everybody you work with. You want to create a mindset, right? And a superior mindset. No, I'm not saying you walk it around, because when you have a superior mindset, you don't walk around and show off, right? Matter of fact, you speak less because you're much more confident. The person who speaks a lot sometimes is not because they're confident, it's not because they're just trying to out-talk you, right? So what the person that speaks less, sometimes in a room, is sometimes the person that has more knowledge than anybody else. And all they're doing is evaluating everyone else. And then when they open their mouth, you go, wow, right? But we need to, in our planning, in everything we do, right? We need to, if we want to increase our harvest, we want to increase our capacity. We want to increase our capacity if we're dealing with farming, if we're dealing with planning, right? Because we're going through a different stage now, right? So there's an old adage out there, and it says, it takes money to make money. And I hear that so often. You know, a person say, yeah, but, you know, I can't get anything done because it takes money to make money. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Right? Actually, what it takes to make money is your mindset. What it takes to make money is for you to understand that if I put something together, I create a birthing channel, and because I do that, certain things are going to happen. Let me give you an example. What's your name, sir?
Norman.
Norman. On your way here, right? How many blue cars you saw?
A few.
A few. Do you remember the specific number?
No.
Why? Why you don't know the specific number?
I'm not paying attention to it.
You're not paying attention to it. I guarantee you this, right? If you call me later and tell me how many blue cars you saw on your way home, that you would have a number for me.
Exactly.
You know why? Because now you're paying attention to it. You see, our mind is, we program our mind what we want to see. So if our mind was to show us every single thing we see throughout the day, as a matter of fact, we go crazy. right? So we only see what we program it to see. All of a sudden, you buy a new car, and all of a sudden, everywhere you drive, you see the new car, right? Because guess what? You open up that sector of your mind now because you have a car. It's the same thing with money, by the way. Same thing with planning. You start planning something, you start saying, okay, you know what? This is where I want to be. Then all of a sudden, the opportunities are coming to get you there, if you believe it. The thing, it takes us a while because most of us are programmed to be negative, right? So we say, oh, you know what? I want to make $200,000 a year. And then our self-talk is so bad that when we're alone by ourselves, we say, well, I can't do it, and I don't know what most thinking. And we start talking ourselves out of it. So guess what? Nothing is opening us up because we don't truly believe it, right? But if we start do something to program ourselves to believe it, once we start to believe it, then we start meeting the people that's going to open up these doors for us. And I can tell you, I listen, in 1998, I came here from Jamaica. I know nobody in Florida. And I set a goal for myself. And you know what? I just got to be a financial advisor with American Express Financial. I set a goal that I'm going to make $100,000 a year. I know nobody. And a financial advisor, you need to know people, right? But I set this goal. And when I set this goal, you know, I start talking to myself in the mirror. I start telling myself I'm doing it. And then all of a sudden I just kind of, and then I would say to myself, you know what? I love you. Because sometimes we don't tell ourselves that, and because we don't, we're not connected with us. And I just start to feel strange, and then I go someplace, and I meet some people, and they said, oh yeah, all right, yeah, the person, strangers start helping me get to my goal. People are leaving, and they come to me and said, listen, hey Linda, one lady was leaving, she said, hey, I'm leaving the company, but I want to take you and introduce you to all of my clients. This lady don't know me from anywhere, I just start working there. But because I have a mindset, people start helping me, right? And I didn't have to tell her. She came to me, and that's how I built my practice. And I built my practice the first year I made $103,000, right? Because I opened up my mind to something new, something different when I knew nobody. I had one friend. So there's absolutely nothing in this world that's impossible. If you create a birthing channel, which is the plan, right? Then you have to do what do we call, you know, the plan. So you have the idea, which is the dream, the plan, the goal is action. So you start to say, okay, you know what? All right, so I write this down. I need to start doing something. So what I would do is that I start to go where people are, because I need people, you know. So I'll go to a hotel, bar, sit there, you know, the counter, and then start talking to people. And they start asking you questions, and before you know it, you know, people are helping you. So that's the action. So sometimes we have these plans, we have these dreams, but we pray, we do all kind of things, but we take no action. It's almost like we want something to just magically happen at our door. But the plan means you take the first step, and then you watch it open up. And as it opens up, you're making the changes. Because when you started, the way you see it, it's different from the final outcome. Because as I said, when the pregnant lady, right, when she just got pregnant to when she had the baby, it's a different thing, right? As a matter of fact, the birthing canal must expand, the contractions start coming. So it's different. So what you wrote down is going to be completely different from when it actually birthed, right? But the very thing that you have the idea is going to come as you make the changes, as you take the step, right? So that's my presentation this evening. I hope it was impactful. If you have some questions, I'm here. I can take some questions. In this book, we talk a lot about the dream, plan, goal. I have a brand new book coming out called Don't Eat Your Seed, The Psychology Behind Financial Planning. As a matter of fact, it's out, but I'm a financial planner here in the US, and because of regulation, I need to get compliance to approve it before I can turn it over to the public, and I didn't get approval in time to have it here. So I have the books, but I can't release them until I got that go ahead. I can release them anywhere in the world except in the US, right? Because I'm governed by the FINRA and SEC here, and I have to go through those challenges. But this is the first, but this is Dream Plan Goal 5 Steps to Your Financial Freedom. It touched on most of what we talked about. The Don't Eat Your Seed is a little bit different because I go in a lot more detail, right? Because everything that we see in nature of a seed, and it's not in there by accident, because everything must reproduce according to its kind. So there's a seed in there, and the seed means that you don't have to keep making, a brand new orange tree, and some people who believe in God, say, well, God don't have to put a brand new orange tree, because the seed in it for it to reproduce. Those, nature, whatever is your belief system, right? But the seed is so important, and that's kind of what we talked about, is that money, though, doesn't have seed. And that's why a lot of people just consume the entire thing. But what we have to do is to do what we see in nature, right? We see everything in nature as a seed. It means that we must pull out the seed, replant it. If our capacity is not enough, we get more if we want a bigger harvest. And the same thing we have to do with our money, right? We have to take our money, and we have to take some of it out, right? And recreate something, because what we're trying to get to is financial independence. Financial independence means even though I'm going to work, I have created something where I don't need to actually work. I'm doing it because maybe I enjoy my job. But I have something else that reproduces it. Because what I've done is to pull the seeds out of my money. And I've gone through, there's 12 chapters in there, that in the book that I talk about quite a few things, in the 12 chapters. So what are these paying yourself first? We talk about debt in there. We talk about seed time, harvest time. We talk about famine. Famine is a natural part of life. Famines have been around for generations. We see it here. We call it now the economic cycle, right? So the economic cycle is sometimes the economy is booming, right? Then it slows down. Then we're in a recession. Then we're in a recovery. But this is the part of life. So when the slowdown comes, we shouldn't be crying. When the recession is here, we shouldn't, because that's a natural. There's opportunity in every single cycle. But again, you have to be ready for it, right? That's your grandmother said, right? Grandmother, you said something. Your grandmother said, prepare for a rainy day, right? So when we're there in that recession, that's the rainy day. But cash is king. There's I can give you stories after stories of people who have picked up things way below the value because they had cash and somebody else did not. And they were able to buy something. The same thing you do with the stock market or real estate. The guy who owned the Dolphin now is the same thing that Joe Robbie, when he died, they didn't have enough cash to pay the IRS. So they had to sell it. And somebody come in and say, okay, I have the cash here. And they bought it and now they're making the money. So as I said, the rainy day, you don't know when it's going to rain. You don't know when, but you start preparing yourself, and you do it by making sacrifices. Because you can't get anything in life without sacrifice. So if I'm making, I'm going to tell you about my story when I did it. I think I'm making $18,000, $20,000 a year. So what can I pull out of that? Right? You make sacrifice for 5 years, and I guarantee you'll be better off than somebody who make $200,000 and save nothing. All right, thank you for having me. Any questions?
Yes.
Concerns? Sure.
Mike, me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike?
So my question, no. Can you guys hear me? I can speak pretty loudly.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is, talk about savings, right? And in the Black community, we're talking save it, put it under the mattress, don't put it in the bank. How do you balance saving and investment, right? Because how do you grow your money while still saving for that rainy day?
All right.
That's the balance.
Okay. Well, let me say this. You can't have growth by saving. The only way your money is going to grow is that you have to find some investment, right? However, don't not negate saving. Because saving, as I said, cash is king.
So what's the percentage of savings to investment?
Each person has to determine that. So
Okay.
What we do is that we kind of give you a general scope and says, you know what? For me, with my clients for the last 25 years, is that there should be a 30% there, right? That 30% is going between investment and saving,
Okay.
right? And then we determine what portion you want to put where, you know? No, some person want to keep the money under their mattress. That works for you, that's fine too, right? You know, some person want to put it in a bank. Some people want, but as long as it's not somewhere where if there's an emergency, you got to sell something at a discount, because most of the time the emergency comes when you know, say for instance, I have $100,000 in my savings, right? I decided I'm going to invest $90,000. However, you know, I have an emergency for that requires me to put out $20,000. And that $90,000, you know what's going to happen? I guarantee you this. It's going to happen at a time where the real estate market for some reason is down, the stock market is down, whatever you invest in, there's something, it's not liquid. And you're going to have to sell it at a loss just to meet your emergency. So we have to create a quick balance.
Sorry to interrupt this great presentation. Let's give Mr. Douglas a big round of applause. I have one request. Each person asking a question, just say your name and the business you're in, because we want to get, part of the exercise here is to get to know each other a little bit more. And if you're involved in a particular business that we can support here as a part of the community, that's one of the objectives that we have. All right? Back to you, sir.
Let's use the microphone for the video so I can move it.
Say it again.
I can use the microphone for the video.
Okay. All right. Two. Okay. Any other questions? All right.
Hi, my name is Jamie Douglas. I work in sales. I was curious do you think that everyone needs a financial planner to have a financial plan?
Jamie, great question. By the way, that's my daughter, right? Not everyone needs to hire a financial planner, but I would encourage you not to make yourself the financial planner, right? You know, you can, if you need to have someone that you trust to hold you accountable to yourself. Because most of us, what happened is we set out to do something, but that there's no accountability, right? We don't get it done. But if you have somebody that you say, okay, this is my plan, right? So it may be, if you're married, you can have your spouse one and say, okay, this is what we're doing. Let's hold ourselves accountable to this. And then you have meetings where you get it done, you know, but it's as a financial planner, I'm telling you, it's best to hire somebody outside because they are totally objective, right? They are not invested into it as you are, so they're going to see it differently. And I always say this, right? Sometimes I have clients who are better, have a lot more money than I have, right? And someone said, but why would they want to hire you? Like, can Michael Jordan coach play better basketball than him? But you see, what happened is that when you're in the court playing, you're seeing it from that perspective. Somebody was sitting somewhere else, they're seeing another perspective. So they're able to balance you. And that's why the great have coaches. Tiger Woods has a caddy that he asks questions, and that's why they do it. It's because they're getting an independent opinion on what they're doing to make them even greater. Okay.
This has been a really great presentation. I'm Christine Mills from JJ Shack on the 6th Trunk. With the current affairs going on in China and Taiwan and Israel and the wars in Ukraine as well, what do you think we should be doing right now financially?
All right. What I try to do is I try not to give specific recommendation, because the way financial plan work, right, is that we tailor it to you. Not everyone has the same risk tolerance. Not everyone has the same time frame to what they're trying to get done, right? And if I could answer that, what I want to do, but what a lot of people do is that sometimes they take it for them and they run and they go do it. And then, wait a minute, but my time frame is only 6 months. And, but he told me something bad, So, anytime, but I'm just going to make a general thing, right? Anytime we see those things happening, right? I always remember what I said earlier, right? In the fruit, there's good and bad, right? So we expect these things to happen, right? So because of that, what I would do is that I would look for, wait a minute, what sort of opportunity might there be with what's happening that I could benefit from? And that's where I do my research, right? I say, okay, what are they buying? What do they need? What's going to happen here? And I start doing my research. And I do my research. And I'm like, okay, well, this company is that's going to happen. This is going to happen. And then once this is over, I think, how long do I think this is going to continue for? And most of this, as I said, you have to change. You have to make changes because I could put, I say 6 months. In the Ukraine war, the people said it was going to be done quickly. That was going into 2 years. But so what we have to do, anytime we see bad, we know good is coming, right? Because they're in the same fruit. So let me see what opportunity I'm looking for. And then I look for the opportunity there. And based upon my own, thing for risk, I will take advantage of certain things, right? Because there's some clients that I have that, they're so risk adverse that everything is in CD. And my job is not to change their mind, right? My job is to educate them. But if they said, this is what I want, that's what they get.
Hi, my name is Julianne Lee, and I am a talk show host and event host. Question is related to financial planning for children. There are a lot of people, a lot of adults that believe that, in their lifetime, they'll just do their saving for them or whatever. They're not caring about the kids. When they die, the kids will get the money. But what about, how do you, if you're interested in starting some financial planning for children to get them in a good state, so by the time they're 21 or whatever, they can have something for themselves, or you can have something for them. What are some of the options that you can use to do that?
Okay. So there's several things that you can use to do that, right? But I'm going to put a caveat, right? And as I said, I don't believe that you should make everything easy for your children because you don't want to take away their innovation. And you do it, but then what I would do is I put some restriction as to how they get it, right? But there's several things you can do, but I put some restriction, right? And even when I'm gone, right, there is ways for them to get it. They have to prove certain things. It's just not automatic. Because if it's automatic, I'm taking away from them, right? And once anything happens, they have no coping mechanism, none, right? So, you could, if you have a business, you could employ your child, you could open up an IRA for them, you could save some money in it for them. There's an insurance product you can use. There is, under the Uniform Transfer Gift to Minors Act, you can put away money in their name and in your name. That is automatic. Once they turn 21, it's theirs. You have no control over it. You can open up a trust. There's so many things that you can actually do. But that's important because, the leaving, all right. Going back to my analogy with fruits, right? So when you plant a fruit tree, right, that is left for generation unknown. As a matter of fact, you're taking care of the birds, they're coming for shade, so that is going to be there for what? I believe we all should leave a footprint. Just like the pyramids have been here for years, we should all leave a footprint. But, again, I want us to caution us as to how the kids get it. And I wouldn't even tell them that it's coming to them, right? So because I want them to go through their thing, learn from it, and when they're ready, it will come to them.
Anybody else has any questions?
Yes, good night. I enjoyed that section of presentation, which I heard. My name is Norris, by the way. Yeah. You mentioned different. You mentioned about risk, being risk averse, fear of investment, and you talk about like the level of risk tolerance. Within the range, is it possible that you could clarify, one or two of the most popular, say stocks, for example, just to give an idea of how the person who is risk averse, right? And the person will take an element of risk. What are the things are geared for them so that take a child. The child gets some money from his parents. It now comes to him at a certain age, but he wouldn't necessarily be able to blow it because he does not understand the range which is moving to take advantage of your wisdom which you have imparted.
Okay. All right. So as it relates to risk, right? You have a risk from conservative where a person is they're so adverse to most investing that you have to be careful what you put them into, right? But even in a conservative risk tolerance, there is a piece of it that's in growth. It's just that it's going to grow a lot slower than the person who's very aggressive, right? And what we do to figure out your risk tolerance is a series of questions that we ask some question, and then that question is gonna compute a number, and then we plug that number in to determine whether you're conservative, moderate to conservative, moderate to aggressive, or aggressive, right? And that's gonna help us. Now, a lot of persons automatically assume that because somebody is 20 years old that they're going to be aggressive. That's not necessarily true, right? Because I've met 20-year-olds very conservative. So it's for us, once we figure that out, then we look at different products. So the thing about a financial planner, if you work with a financial planner should not be tied to a company and tied to a product. There shouldn't be something that I have to sell you, right? It should be that I should be a fiduciary. I should be looking for your best interest, and whatever that comes out to, then I search for that for you. And based upon that, we determine, this is your risk tolerance. Let's look at some range of product that might meet this and discuss that with you. And the one that you say, okay, all right, I like this, I like that. Once we give you all the advantage and the disadvantage. Because as again I said, no matter what you do, if you're very conservative, there's advantage, there's disadvantage, right? If you're very aggressive, there's advantage, there's disadvantage. There's good and bad in everything.
Hi, good night. My name is Bridget. We have a wealth creating ecosystem using the foreign exchange market for people. What do you recommend when people earn money every week, every month for investment in terms of diversifying a portfolio between various investments? What do you recommend?
Well, again, as I said, because we don't have an in-house product. I can do anything. My company, we can do anything from a bank account, CDs, stocks, bonds, real estate investment trust. Whatever it is that the client is comfortable with. Some people foreign exchange, some people it's option. Some people is a portfolio of just individual stocks, right? So I don't really talk product. What I do is I talk planning, and from the planning we determine the product. Because I think that if you're just going out to buy a product, for instance, if Paula. So if Paula buys an investment, right? And Paula is talking to her neighbor, and what's your name? Nandi. And Paula is talking to Nandi, and Paula said, I just buy some Forex and it's doing great for me. Nandi heard that. She doesn't understand Forex. She doesn't have the risk tolerance that Paula has for Forex, and she buys it. As soon as she gets a statement and it says down 15%, she's selling. And she's gonna say, this ain't working for me. You told me something. You tell me how much money you're making, blah, 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 blah. And guess what I said? As soon as you do anything, challenge is going to come, right? So therefore, the challenge is gonna come, but because she don't fully comprehend what she's doing, right? She's gonna pull her money out, and she's gonna take it, and she's gonna go, because the product was leading her, not the plan. You say the plan help you to design, the plan help you to zone in on your purpose, right? And once you have purpose, right, then the purpose wires you. See, what she did was she was inspired by what Paula says. The thing with inspiration is going to come and go, right? What happened with the plan when you're wired, it's going to determine, your purpose is going to have to drive that. And because of that, you're going to stay. When the challenges come, you've talked about in your plan about these challenges, so you're much more prepared to deal with it. Did that answer your question?
Yes and no.
One part of it was
it's a good response. It's a very good response, and we teach that as well.
Okay.
But I was just wondering, as a financial advisor, if you had, you know, in the current economic season, if you have particular products that you find, but you mentioned you're not going to.
Yeah, man, I do, you know, but I don't. As I said, I don't lead with products.
Bonds, you know.
I don't lead with. Bonds are wonderful. Interest rates are going up, right? You know, bonds are interest rate sensitive. Right. So, you know, you could, and I can go with it. Listen, I can sell her a bond tomorrow, right? Because bonds are going up, they're paying very well, she put some money into it. But you know what the problem with that is? Right? As the interest rate goes up, right, the bond that she buys, it's going to be worth less if she tries to sell it. But she has to hold it to maturity. The problem is she doesn't understand bond. The first time she gets her statement and says, wait a minute, I put $100,000 in here. It's saying that if I sell it now, it's worth $90,000. What did you put me into, right? No, she's still getting her interest rate of 5, but because interest rates are going up, the value of it, to resell, is going down. So the plan will help that, right? So once she's more educated about the products, then we will put them into it, because when the challenge comes, she's prepared. So we have all kind of products. There's not products that we don't have. I can do, and even if I don't have it, right, we will recommend out, right? Because that's how we work with, you know, others. Because I mean, I love investing. As a matter of fact, most advisor farm it out and get somebody to do it. I actually do it in-house because I enjoy doing it. That's the nerd in me, right? That enjoy looking at those things and doing it, right? I enjoy doing that, but I don't lead with that because it's not about me, it's about my client.
I kind of know some of the persons in the room. By the way, good evening, everybody, and thank you all for coming out. I appreciate you taking the time to support our monthly lecture series. This is actually the 3rd one. And part of the reason I asked you to introduce yourself is because I know you have products, like, for example, Bridget did mention that she's a big currency trader. And I happen to know that, so I hope she would have said that, but she kind a little bit. She was a little modest with how she presented it, right? But she's a currency trader. And so as you ask your questions, I know we're wrapping up, just say the institution you're part of, or if there's a business you're associated with, so we can support you, right? Dr. White, are you next? You're asking a question?
Yes,
Oh, sorry. No. Sharon was before, right? So I was at Joe DiMaggio Hospital 2 weeks ago with Miss Jamaica Universe. Sharon is one of our noted Jamaican doctors leading with distinction. Let's recognize Sharon, one of our top nurses, right? When you're a nurse, you're a doctor and everything, man. You're running. Huh? Of course, you run things. But even when we had our 5K, the hospital was very supportive of the 5K, and Sharon helped to build a team together. Sharon, you have a question?
So my question is, okay. So CG cannot tell you, I'm a nurse, getting ready to retire. We're all nurses. She's retired. I'm next. She's gonna be right behind us. So we're fully vested. We work hard. My question is, how do you know, 2 questions. How do you know how much to pay the financial planner? And how do you build that trust with them? My fear is that once I get my money from the hospital, I'm gonna like turn fool. I don't want to do it. So that's what I'm thinking. You know what I mean? Because I'm okay. My kids are okay. So where do I go from there? That's my question. I guess I have to sit down with somebody and plan, but how do you trust that person? That's my I'd like to trust
He's
you.
gonna say something.
Just one thing before this, but I must do a shameless plug for investing in Jamaica at this time. Many of us are not looking at Jamaica. I'm telling you, the economy, we've had consistent economic growth. Debt to GDP, which was at 149%, has gone down to close the year at 74% debt to GDP.
That's amazing.
Yesterday, Dollar Financial was one example. I'm not telling anybody where to invest with stocks to buy. Dollar Investment announced a 74% increase in profit. Local company doing well. These, right, you can clap. We have 101 stocks on the Jamaica stock market. And you heard about the correlation between interest rates and bonds. And there's also a correlation between interest rates and stocks. When interest rates are up, the price of stocks go down. But what has been happening then? So the Jamaican stock prices are down, so it's the right time to buy. But the values of the company are actually improving. So what they call the PE ratio, price to earning, is actually down, which is the best time to buy. It's a shameless plug. But for those of you here in the room thinking about your finances, don't leave out Jamaica in your planning, all right? Shameless plug, right? Can you clap it for that?
As I'm not a financial, I'm not regulated in Jamaica, I can't really talk about Jamaica, right? But but you can, because you're, yeah man, you can, you know? But I do have investments in Jamaica stock market, so that, you know, I actually buy quite a few stocks over here. All right, no, financial planner costs, right? And how much do you? Most financial planner is based upon the amount of time that you require with them. So most financial planner, they charge an hourly rate, right? There's some clients that financial advisor may meet with monthly, some they may meet with quarterly, some they meet with semi-annually, and some they meet, you know, once a year, right? And then also the frequency of the meeting. Some things can be done in person, something can be done via Zoom. So they charge you based upon the time. So, you know, and what their hourly rates are. You know, I always tell a person, you get what you pay for, right? So if you're looking for the cheapest financial advisor, they may not be the best, right? So it's the same thing.
Like for nursing, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a private case. So that's what I'm saying. So where would, like I know, okay, so what am I looking at? Am I starting at $100 an hour? That's not an idea.
Yeah, I mean, a financial advisor, somewhere from about $200 an hour up, right? And then depends on how much time you want, right? Most of them, the initial consultation is complimentary. Some of them charge you on a fee, and then they charge you a percent of the assets they manage, right? Like for instance, in my practice, right, I charge a consultation fee to prepare the plan, and then I charge by the percentage of the asset that we manage in-house. So if we, we have some clients that we don't manage any assets in-house. So we just charge them for, helping them with their assets that's elsewhere. But we just charge them for our time, right? So we know that not everyone wants to, move their assets. They maybe want to, keep it wherever they are. But we basically charge them for our time to sit down with them, give them advice, and when we give them written, actionable advice. So that you can look at. So that's kind of how advisors charge for the most part. Now, bear in mind also, just like you're a nurse, right, and doctors and stuff, right? You can go to a clinic down the street and you can walk in and it's free, right? But every time you go in, maybe you're gonna be a different doctor. You're not gonna get personal service. You're gonna get what you pay for, right? While if you have your own private doctor, every time you go in, you're gonna see that person. You're gonna call that person. And you're gonna pay more for that. So it's the same thing with financial planning, right? There's some companies that say we do financial planning, and when you call, you get an 800 number, you get a different person every time, and they don't have that person that let me read the notes and right, and they don't really have a full understanding of your personal situation. where your personal financial planner, they're going to know about you. They're going to know your situation. You're going to have a relationship, right? That's a difference. Yes, Paul.
My name is Paula Pearman. I'm an insurance advisor with New York Life Insurance Company. My question is, after someone has gotten financial advice, how do you help the person, do financial advisors help the persons to execute based on the recommendations that you have made?
Yeah. All right. So yeah, part of the process of a financial planner is that we do help them execute some things. We recommend out. So for instance, there's some advisor who don't do insurance, so they might have an insurance agent that they would recommend to. The FINRA said we really should recommend the 3 persons and let the client choose who they want to work with, that we shouldn't just steer them to one person, right? The same thing with insurance, property and casualty, estate planning. We may have 3 attorneys that we work with. Same thing with because financial planning really covers, your estate, right? Your retirement, your income taxes. So we may, there's CPAs that I work with that I recommend things to, and then we have joint meeting with the client, because part of my discipline is that I was an accountant before I became a financial advisor. So, and I'm a certified financial planner. So, I passed my boards, and I have a discipline in all the 6 area of financial planning, right? So, does that mean that I know every single thing? No. So therefore, some estate planning attorney will sit down, and I help the clients when they go in, they know exactly what they want. Sit down, they will draft the document, because we don't write estate planning. We leave that up to the attorney. We don't do income. I don't do income tax. Some financial planners, they do taxes. I don't do that, right? Some financial planners sell insurance, right? I couldn't tell the last time I sold. I have the license, but I don't actively sell life insurance. At least not anymore.
Yes. Yes, Norman White, Dr. White. So I deal with real estate development, both commercial and residential, among other things. Also a serial entrepreneur. One of the things I heard you talk about was not pushing the product, which I never saw that before.
Right.
And so you tailor your business specifically for the individual without pushing the product because of the privilege you have of having your own business. Mm-hmm. Is it that people who usually work for an institution who pushes a product usually fails the client, or is there?
Well, I wouldn't say fail the client. Again, good and bad is in the same fruit, right? So I wouldn't say fail the client. I would say that some persons, their financial planner, they work for institution. That institution may have some very good products, right? When you compare them, and what that person should do in their plan is look at, okay, because I used to work for Ameriprise, which is American Express. They had their own products, right? However, it was not a requirement that we have to. But what we do is that we will show them what we have in-house. We will show them the advantage of using stuff that we have in-house versus using stuff that we can see that's outside. Then you have to bring it in, where in-house we can get you, because we can just log on and see what's happening, and let the client decide. So I wouldn't say that they're failing the client, because the bottom, especially if they're a certified financial planner, they're required by an independent board, the Certified Financial Planner Bureau Institute, that requires them to act objectively. If not, they're going to lose their accreditation, right? And they follow up on these things. They take it seriously. So, and because they're fiduciary, yes, that's what they have in-house. And some of them, what they've done now, because most of them have been sued over the years by the SEC, is that they also allow you to buy products that's outside, but it's on their platform. right? So we've seen that change. It's no longer where, it's a proprietary thing that they must sell, so, and then there's some proprietary products that are very good products. So if you work for a company, say you work for Prudential, and Prudential, has some very good products, American Century has some very good product, so these are good. So everything you look at the cost, the benefit, and if it's good for you, and as long as they're disclosing to you, because that's the key really, is that as your financial planner should do, they should disclose to you their conflict of interest. So, and that's what if there's something I say, listen, I may make more money by selling you this, and as long as they're disclosing to you to give you the objective to say, well, I don't want this, right? Rather than try to push something on you, then that's where I'd say I draw the line. But really and truly, there's not much different between, Prudential and Fidelity and, Vanguard or whatever. They're all solid, as long as it's not some fly-by-night company that's, shady and, most of them, they have, it's just minor difference with the expense ratio. And when you analyze it, you'd say, relatively, if I take this, it's not going to change my outcome too much.
As we look to wind down.
Well, Paul had a question.
Or you can make a comment. It don't have to be a question. Joe Wilson, get ready. I'm going to pause on you.
All right, Paul Matthews.
Say what you do, man.
What do I do? Oh, yeah, I'm a financial strategist myself. But quick question, Lindell is a guy that beats me up in golf weekly.
My teacher.
Question is, in your line of work, are you able to give guarantees? Guarantees, we're not talking on a particular product, but on strategies.
All right. Guarantees are a word that we run away from, right? But really, we can't really guarantee on strategies either. What we can say with a strategy is that we can give you the advantage and the disadvantage, right? Because we know that as good as any financial guru is, they don't have a crystal ball, right? And we can say, okay, you know what? Let's implement this strategy. This is the advantage. This may be the side effect. As I said, the good and bad is in the fruit, right? So there are going to be some advantages. There are going to be some downside. What we're going to do is to disclose it to you, right? We're going to look at anything and say, okay, this, if I put my client into a real estate investment trust, it might be illiquid. They might need their money and they can't get it out. However, if things go good, I've seen them where they went very well, and when the time comes for it, the client make 40, 50% return, right? So we have seen that. However, I've also seen the opposite. I've seen where they invest some money in a real estate investment trust or something like that, and then they get the interest, and when the time comes to sell it, the price is down 15%. Now, they've made some money over the time, so yeah, they sell it, they lose some of what they've gained before, they lose principal, but I've seen sometimes where they have lost principal. I've been in the business long enough to see where money market funds that is supposed to not break the buck, they're supposed to be $1, where in 2008, one of them was 85 cents when they went to liquidate it, right? So we can only look at things and look at good, the bad, advantage, disadvantage, and disclose it to the client and put it together. And that's why I said a financial plan is a living, breathing document. So as we're going forward, we make changes. We say, oh, wait a minute, this is not, no, let's look at this because the environment has changed, right? So let's change this. It's not just, oh, let me put everything, in this ship and pray that it doesn't hit a rock somewhere, right? And it's going to be somebody there steering it, and as we're going to make some changes, that we're not going to sink the Titanic.
Thank you. All right. You have a comment as we look to wrap.
Yes, I have to talk. My name is Marie Wallace.
Marie, come in the front.
Everybody else. Okay, my name is Marie Wallace. I'm a businesswoman. I have a medical product that has been licensed by the Jamaican government. I've had a chance, this is a comment, not a question. I've had a chance to work with Lindell quite a bit. And so I felt like I needed to be here and I needed to speak on the fact that everything that he spoke about, I kept on smiling and saying, he's for real. What he's talked about, the things that he's talked about, he's spoken very passionately about it because for real, he is what he's talking about. I've had a copy of this book, I've read it, and I recommend it to every single one of you. And I've listened to your questions, I've listened to his answers, and I think the book is very tiny, actually. It really should be a bigger book if you just listen to all his answers. Because it's more, he is a little bit more than that. But what the book did was go over the bigger points. So as you read it, it allows you to think a little bit more. And what you'll want to do is actually call him to sit down and talk with him a little bit more, because I can tell that you guys are all about money. And as he said, it doesn't have a seed, but really and truly, we all have to talk about money. We all have to deal with money, and we do need to think about tomorrow. We need to think about today and think about tomorrow and our children and everything else. And that's what he is about. So I just wanted to say, I commend you for what you're doing. You did a fantastic job this evening, didn't he?
Yeah.
And thank you for all that you've done for me and what you're doing here.
I missed the first part when I came here to work. So, are you based in Jamaica or are you based here?
Currently, I reside in Jamaica, but my business is here. So it's a funny story. My wife was there. Her company has transferred her to Jamaica as an expat to do something for the company there. So they have us in Jamaica for 2 to 5 years. But we're loving Jamaica so much that we have to stay there and still work up here. So most of the time with my clients, I get a Zoom, and every 3 months I come up and have a first face-to-face. But for the most part, it's a Zoom meeting, so I can actually work from anywhere in the world, right? So I'm enjoying that, right? Now, as for this book, this is just an introduction. It's like 56 pages. The next book that is already here is 140 pages. We're going on much more detail. This is really just to whet your appetite, talk about 5 things you need, really, to create financial independence. And for me, I don't do product. So you'll never see any recommendation of any products in my book, because for me, I said it's a concept. Because if you don't get it in your mind, no matter what product I tell you about, as soon as some challenge comes, you're going to sell it and say, oh, that man was a fraud, right? So for me, it's the mindset must change first. You must understand why you're doing it, and after you understand why you're doing it, then we can talk about it, right?
How much is the book?
The book is $19, $20. Yeah.
We have to sell out all the books before you use here today, right?
And because I'm also a minister, right? I have a prayer journal. And they tell you how to get answers to your prayers. So, for those of you who have any religious, check this book out, right? So it's a journal. All you do is just write stuff down, and you'll see what happens when you write stuff down. As I said, when you write it down, it's a what? What did I say it was? Anybody remember?
Prize. Give him a prize. Somebody will start.
Anybody who can answer that. Yeah. What did I say? Huh?
It comes to manifestation. It comes to fruition.
No, half of your problem is solved already.
Wait, okay, I'm not hearing it. What was the plan? When you write it down, what happened? Yeah, but I use the word. I use a word like a pregnant lady. What did you say? Birth passage, yes. All right, so this is your prayer. That's what happens when you write stuff down. You actually move it now from your head into reality, because you create a birth passage.
I think, and then you forgot to talk about the fact that when the body comes to trying to get the book.
All right, no, I can't do that.
But wait, before you go forward.
What does it? I want to do something real right.
Okay.
Anybody wants this book?
Yeah.
Anybody wants this book? What do you need to do to get it? See, that's what I talk about. I said, no matter what you do, right? Dream, plan, goal. You must take action. Right? You must take action. Right? We can conceptualize everything, but until we take action, that baby can be in the womb, but until something starts coming for the baby to come, the water break, action. Alright, but guys, it's been fun.
Hold on, one second.
I'm still going to buy another book, though. I'm going to give this one to somebody.
Joe Wilson, I want you to just make 2 comments about the importance of the mind in 2 minutes, because you're a pastor, so I have to give you the time.
Can you go to the front?
Wow, thank you so much, Oliver. My goodness, guys, aren't you blessed to be here? Oh, am I in front of the camera? Oh my God. Wow. Thank you so much, Oliver. It's a blessing being here. My good friend Paul, I haven't seen her in years. I was shocked to see her. I'm sorry to say that. Guys, the mind is powerful. The mind is creative, and each one of us, we have been given a mind. One thing that's common among the rich man and the poor man is what? Each one has a mind. Each one has 24 hours per day. It's what you do with the mind. You know, it's like a wonderful saying, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, you can achieve. My name is Joseph Wilson. I run Eagles International Marketing Group. We have a resort coming up. We have all kinds of things we're working on. Good to see each one of you guys here. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And I think we just have one more comment, I promise. Is that, what is that? Last one, and then we'll finish.
Thank you. Chevalise is the name. I review contracts for a living. I'm also an upcoming trader, thanks to Bridget. Just a quick question. Okay, so on the prenuptial agreements, are those under your portfolio, or is it attorney specific?
As a certified financial planner, we have expertise in prenuptial, in reading them, in looking at. We don't write them. That's the only thing we don't do, right? So we'll talk about the client, especially clients that I have who have been. We're looking to get married. We talk about that. We talk about why you need to protect this. Well, let's look at this. Let's look at these things. You know. So we talk about to help you prepare, right, to go into a marriage if that's what you want. Some clients say, well, I don't want a prenuptial. I am not there to steer a client one way or the other. I'm just there to help them accomplish whatever they tell me they want to get done. So if a prenuptial is something, then we'll look at that, right? We'll help them, right, to look at some things and say, okay, yes, let's look at this, let's look at that, let's look at that, right? No, before you go to the attorney, I recommend you sit and talk to us so that we understand your financial situation better than the attorney. So then we will help you that when you go into the attorney, you're much more prepared as to what you're looking to protect.
Ladies and gentlemen, when we have talent, we must recognize talent. When we have Jamaican talent, we have to big them up some more. And when we have the Jamaican talent right here in our community, we have to celebrate them. Let's celebrate Mr. Lindell Douglas. Lindell, thank you so much. We had this discussion just last week. We put this together. I told you had to do all the inviting, and you did most, and nice turnout. And I want to thank everybody for being here. This is a monthly exercise for us. We had Lekim Samaj first. We had Miss Pat from VP Records. We have Minister Bartlett who's scheduled to join us. So we plan to make this an opportunity to cover a wide range of issues that impact us as a community. So I invite you to, nowadays, you don't pass over phone number, you scan and get the information. Scan and be linked with us at the consulate. Ensure that you have the information here with Island Space. Island Space is actually our partner in this. They host these events for us free of cost. but nothing is free of cost. And so I'm going to invite my good friend from Island Space just to say a few words of how persons can support Island Space.
Hello, good evening. How are you? Give yourselves a round of applause for being here tonight. I mean, look at this room. It's packed out. So give yourself, you can do better than that. Give yourself a round of applause for being here tonight. This was some amazing information, was it not? Thank you again, Lindell, for sharing all this amazing information. And one of the things he spoke about tonight is planting a seed, right? And so there is a law. If you really want to have wealth, there's a law of reciprocity, right? So if you want to receive money, you also have to give money. That's a part of, there's a law of reciprocity. You have to give in order to receive, right? So that's what I'm here to talk about today, is how you can give to this amazing museum that you're in right now. I mean, look around, look at these walls. I really encourage you, if you haven't had a chance to look at the museum yet, when you're done, just look around. Look at all the beautiful artwork that's on the walls. We have this amazing installation that's happening right now that you want to take in. This is the first and only brick and mortar Caribbean-oriented museum in the United States. Do you know how special that is? Yes, give it up. This museum is only a few years old, started as a pop-up shop in 2018, and I mean, it has continued to just grow and grow and grow from there. And we want to maintain this because you want to be able, I was just thinking earlier about how rare it is that we are able to get this kind of information in the Black community. I mean, that's rare. You know, there's a lot of other races, a lot of other cultures where they're able to have these conversations all the time. And then we wonder why they're doing so well and why they're wealthy. Because there's information like what was shared tonight that they know that we don't get access to. And so a lot of the reason why we don't always get access to this kind of information is because we don't have the spaces to congregate like this and get this information out. And so I didn't say my name. So I'm Lizanna Smith. I am the CEO of Garoy Media, which is an advertising agency here in South Florida. And I am on the marketing committee. So I'm on Island Space's board. I'm the chair of the marketing committee. So a lot of times when you see different things going out, that's me and my committee that are helping to get that information out to the public so that you guys can come back for other things. You can become a member of Island Space. So there's an opportunity that you can find out more about how you can come for more events that we have here, because we're always having events here at Island Space. And we're also going to pass around a bucket. So if you have any change, for those who still like to carry cash, then we would really appreciate, this was a free event tonight, as you know, the Consul General said, this is a free event. And so obviously it costs money to keep these lights on and to create this space. So we're gonna pass that around. And then for those of you like me who don't really like to carry a lot of cash on them, we also have these QR codes that you can scan to donate. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass that around as well for those of you who would like to scan and donate. For those of you online, don't feel like you're left behind, because you're not. So you can go to islandspacefl.org/donate. So that is islandspacefl.org/donate. And on that page, you'll see a multitude of ways that you can help support this museum and keep it alive so that we can continue to be the place where Caribbean islands and cultures unite. And so thank you again for coming, everyone. And we look forward to seeing you again at our next events. Have a great night.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you. Heard that energy to give us some more work in the community, right? But I want to thank everybody for coming out, for being here. Please, how many persons found the information useful? If you did, just raise your hand. All right, excellent. And so, by show of hands, how many persons will continue to support the lecture series? You know, you have to put up here. Put up here. Right, David? All right, so I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for being here. And the final message Again, I want to just acknowledge our brother for being a successful businessman, great author, and just somebody making waves in the community. And we recognize his wife as well, Marsha. But big up, thank you, sir, Mr. Lindell Douglas. We appreciate you, sir. Another round of applause. And we're going to have the signing. Persons, if you're coming to make your purchase, and Lindell will sign your book, so you can line up for that. I assure you the next time you come here, I'm going to make a promise to you, because I see Grace Kennedy in the house. I'll make a promise to you, starting next time, I see Grace looking very concerned. There will be some live refreshments for you. Promise, okay? Good. Thank you very much.